G'day YouTubers. Well, what do we have here? We have Linux Mint 17.3 Rosa XFCE, or otherwise XF's 64-bit edition. So the usual thing, we did a review a little while back of the main Cinnamon edition, so I probably won't bore you on the details of Linux Mint in general, but we'll take a look at some of the applications that are installed by default, which are kind of interesting. So anyway, the usual thing, if you want to support Linux Mint or take a look at some of the documentation apps and other things there, feel free to. We'll start off with the Whisker menu, which comes default with a lot of distributions of XFCE. There is another default menu that you can choose, of course, however it doesn't have as many features. You'll notice with the Whisker menu, actually we've got a little search bar down here, and we can also expand the size, which is kind of important for some people. I was having a little play with that before. Immediately we have the settings in here, which is kind of easy. Remember that Linux Mint is really geared towards the either the beginner user or the person who wants the operating system to basically get out of the way. Now, I'd consider using Linux Mint if I had a quick and dirty thing that I needed to do, such as a Linux review. No, such as say I need to do some quick software dev or something like that, and I didn't have a system going at the time. This is a nice way to get things going. Of course, you should know that Linux Mint is based on Ubuntu, which in turn is based on Debian. That is the testing and unstable repos from what I recall. Anyway, there's the settings. Okay, you can go in there and have a bit of a look-see and see what things do. You can lock the thing. It's got a beautiful lock screen and login screen. Actually, it's the login screen that's beautiful. It's got a nice, and I can't unfortunately show you with my screen recording software that I'm using at the moment. I'm using AVConf or libav. But yeah, it's got a beautiful lock screen, login screen there, so you should have a look at that. Gives you the option of switching users. Now, I've probably just screwed up my recording there. Let's just try that. So, test box number 16. Right, so I gave you the password because that's not the password that I normally use. I suggest that you guys use easy to remember passwords for your test instances as well. It's kind of nice to do that. So of course, given that I've told you guys that password, I'll be changing it. Moving on. So you could all see the recently used apps in here. I've been using Firefox. I've given this a couple of days to try this out. I've done a little bit of file editing in the LibreOffice application, which I'll show you in a moment. But we have some apps in here. We've got our favorites. Okay, that's probably based on the frequency of usage. I've used a couple of these ones. We've used the IRC client, which is the Hex chat there. Let's start this. Okay, so we've got the Firefox there. It starts with the default Linux Mint page. You can choose to search either Linux Mint or the web. It's quite nice. It's got some links up here that you can look at, and it has a little pocket thing which I hate. Well, I don't hate, I just dislike, because I don't like proprietary services if I don't have to use them. Unfortunately, I do use some. And we've got the sign into sync and all that sort of stuff that you get with the Firefox. We have the mail client, which I have used. I've actually logged in with my Nix user 1980 account, which you guys should know anyway from, well, it's not hard to guess that I would use that. Anyway, so that's working very nicely. I've noticed no failures in the software at the moment. We've got the IRC chat client, which goes directly to the Linux Mint page. I was saying about that, about software failures. I did have a couple with one of the Ubuntu Mate edition. It complained about a couple of system errors that it wanted to report back and provide some feedback to. So anyway, that's you can go and get some help from in here in the IRC client, which is installed by default. We will quit that for now. We have the software manager, which does look quite attractive. I'll just put that password in again. Okay, so we'll just go in there, and it's a fairly attractive one, but I must say it's pretty plain Jane. Now let's have a look at something like LibreOffice. Okay, and you can just see it's got some reviews and things like that in there that you can take a look at if you go for that sort of thing. And moving right on, and I won't go through the whole update as we did with the previous ones, quite similar. We got the file manager, which is there. I think it's no, it's just Thunar. So they're not using Nemo in this one; they're using Thunar. Okay, so that's nice. It's kind of nice. Moving right along. Where were we? We were using these favourites, weren't we? Oh, I think so anyway. Probably the accessories or something. Let's have a look. Oh, whatever. So, yeah, they have some nice apps in here. File Manager. The text editor is an interesting choice. They chose to use a 2.3 version of gedit, which I kind of found to be interesting. I guess the other thing about the XFCE version is of Mint is they're geared towards machines with less resources, less RAM. Unfortunately, I've got a pretty decent amount of RAM in this machine, about 16 gig. But for the machine that doesn't, or has a slow hard drive or something like that, I am actually running this off a mechanical drive, but it seems to be pretty responsive nonetheless. I usually run distros off solid state drives now. We've got the calculator now. Confirming what the guys from Solus said, it actually doesn't say anything about the GNU project, even though I believe it is the one that is given by the GNU project. Kind of interesting there. So you don't need to. Obviously, the terminal emulator's got some nice transparency going on. I actually like this transparency much better than what Cinnamon's got. Cinnamon's got this sort of greyish look, and it's not very attractive with the GNOME terminal there. So probably something they could look at it making reflect, the same as that. So we'll drop gedit. We'll probably drop that as well. Don't need that. Moving right along, we'll try and not repeat any of the applications that we've looked at previously. You've got an archive manager. I recommend you really just people use tar, but sure, if you want to manage your archives in there. You've got bulk rename, which I thought was kind of cool. You can just add some files in here and do some bulk renaming of the files if you want. I thought that was quite cool. Mind you can do that through shell scripting, and maybe we should look at that as a bit of a topic sometime. Again, we went through the calculator before. Character map, I think you would have seen from Windows. Any Windows users, disks, let's have a look. You can have a look at how the disks are, the degree to which you can change. Obviously, you can eject the Blu-ray drive. It looks like you can create a disk image. It's got some smart stuff in here, which that's for drive testing. So to see if your drive's going to fail or is using sectors that are for spares. So what else have we got here? The menu editor. So it looks like you can actually edit the whisker menu perhaps. Maybe I'm wrong here. I could be right. I haven't had much of a look at that. It's probably a look for next time, but something you guys can take a look at, whether you'd like to do that or not. We've got the events document viewer. Let's have a look at that. So hopefully, and we are using a current one, which is called semi-current, at least the 3 series. So it's kind of interesting that they used an old gedit version. So we should probably just have a look at that at the moment. I probably started 2 Firefoxes there, didn't I? Let's have a look at gedit, and we might just look at that in Wikipedia. See how you can just click in here and you can go straight to Wikipedia. I don't know if you guys use that, but I like to use that. And we're up to 3.18, or almost a preview version there, so kind of strange. Moving right along, we've got a fonts viewer. Help if you want. Oh, we did do the menu editor before, so I'm a little bit out of order. It is late at night. You can see here it's 22:20. We can take some notes. I think I used that before. It's probably not the Tomboy one. It is the Tomboy one. That's the one that's written in .NET, or should I say C# mono. Well, it used to be anyway. Who knows if it still is. I'd have to look at that as a dependency level thing. A screen reader, so you can. I think it's more of an. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's an accessibility thing. I might try and turn that off if possible. That really went over my. Okay, it's still saying on. That's kind of fishy. I'd like to be able to turn that off, perhaps. But anyway. So you're seeing it the way I see it anyway. I don't try and edit these videos or anything special like that. I'd like you to see the way I see it. So take a screenshot of the screen. There are other applications you can do from that. You do that with some command line ones, which I always recommend you look at. Task Manager, yeah, pretty simple. You can have a look at that sometime, and just have a look at the processes and stuff like that. I don't think there's really anything there for you guys to be too worried about. A couple of cool things in here. The image writer and an image formatter. So that's probably pretty much the same as, yeah. Yeah, I can still hear that that crazy accessibility thing. I'm going to try and kill that if I can. Hopefully I can find the damn thing. Orca, it probably is Orca. You're still there, you persistent bugger. Okay, so it just told me that the screen reader's off. That's awesome. That was really bugging me. Didn't have one of those nice voices that you get from one of those other services that do that. But yeah, you can format the disk as FAT32. Again, these are the sort of things I recommend you guys do from the command line. It's kind of good to do that sort of thing from the command line. XF burn, which is now I'm not sure about this version. I had a bit of a look-see online about this, and when I put in, if I put in XF burn, so you can see that I've actually looked at it before when I went into Wikipedia. Had a bit of a look-see. You can see FreeBSD has it apparently, but it's not actually showing the application, which is kind of strange. But seeing as it's there, 4.12, and I go and click here, and they're saying it was released with 4.12, so that maybe they're using a different versioning or something like that. It's probably worth taking a look at sometime. Strange. It does look like a fairly attractive application, but it doesn't have the same versioning scheme, at least as XFCE, presumably. And this is a funny little app here. Now, this is a catfish. It doesn't tell me what it does, but anyway, it's like a locate thing. So if I go conf, I'm not going to find any in here because it's probably all under hidden directories and whatnot, but if I go to file system and do that, you can see all these comps. So it's kind of nice. You can do the same thing with find, pretty much. So again, recommend you take a look at that. Graphics, we've got the GIMP, which I'm sure you're familiar with. The image viewer, let's have a look at that one. Ristretto, which is kind of cut down image viewer. I've used that before. And Simple Scan, that's pretty much one of the ones that you'll see on the Ubuntu based distributions. Replacement for Xane, which is probably, Xane is not really user friendly, so you know, it's saying I've got no scanners connected, which is true. Okay. Internet, look, the other thing that we haven't really gone through here is the BitTorrent client, which will be transmission from memory. Yeah, first time I've run it, so anyway, agree. And what version have we got? With 2.82. Let's have a look here. I don't see this. Look, let's just, while we're talking about this, let's have a look. Apt search transmission. By the way, when you do apt, just like that, rather than apt get or apt cache or whatever, you get a nice colorized output. I think it's worth you guys taking a look at. So, do we have any information here? We've got that one, and we've got this one. Okay. Okay, so let's do an aptitude. I installed aptitude before, I think. Aptitude search, or maybe not. Actually, it's show transmission. So I don't know about this 2.82 because I'm pretty confident that transmission would be at a current version, like 3 point something software. Okay, and no, I'm wrong. I am dead wrong. And this one's at 2.82 versus 2.84, which is kind of interesting that transmission has not moved over, which means it's because of this. See, I've been a bit naive here. I thought transmission was actually part of the GNOME project, but perhaps it is not. Again, I could be mistaken. My apologies if I am. Please correct me in the notes, in the comments rather. Okay, so what else have we got? We've got the multimedia stuff here. They've curiously put XFburn in here again. You can adjust your volume with that. It's just a nice little volume controller there, with some basic pulse audio settings for changing which device you're looking at. You can also change that in here, which devices you're actually looking at, and set their levels and everything like that. Of course, you've got the marvelous Alsa mixer as well, if you're interested. Okay, so moving right along, we have VLC. We have the Banshee in here. Banshee is another mono application. So there was a hue and cry years ago about mono applications being included and that they were a patent trap, but so far no patent trolling with that. We have 2 video players, which I find is curious, and I wonder if it's included as a dependency. Yeah, Totem. So why you would need Totem, which runs on the GStreamer framework, versus VLC, which uses its own internal libraries along with libav stuff, along with FFmpeg stuff, if I remember vaguely correctly, although libav and FFmpeg are, well, libav is a fork of FFmpeg. So yeah, that's the multimedia stuff you've got there, ready to play most codecs outside of the box, as you would expect with Linux Mint. Of course, some of those codecs might be patent encumbered, blah blah blah. Depends if you live in a country that respects, or shall I say, is interested in patent for software patents. You've got a dictionary client, which I used before, which is kind of nice. So if I look up the word chess, you can find it, and you'll probably find it some game that some crazy people play. Chess. No, they don't find the game too quickly. Anyway, you can get some definitions there. I suggest you either find a better one or use that, but I'd probably find one online because it didn't come up with the game straight away. A formula editor, all this sort of stuff. This, and this are all from the LibreOffice project, from the Document Foundation. Along with that, we've got some settings in here, which you will find are pretty much related to how XFCE behaves, so you can customize to your heart's content. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Now, what is it meant to do? What are the goals of Linux Mint XFCE edition? Let's have a look at that before I give it a rating. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. What are they saying? Well, I don't think this is current. Again, Quiana. We're not at Quiana, so that's kind of disappointing. They need to update their page. But let's have a look at it about us. Okay, does it work out of the box? Well, so far it did. I went on YouTube, I did all sorts of things, and it seemed to work. It is free of cost, it is open source, it is community driven. Users are encouraged to send feedback to the project. Okay, that's cool. 30,000 now that's interesting, 30,000 packages, because I swore I saw, when I looked at this earlier, many more packages than that. So let's have a look at that. Sorry about the background noise before. Again, I live in a busy family. Look at that, 73. So I don't know what that is. I don't know if they're unique packages or they're, if it's because I've got i386 enabled and it's showing all of them. Is it safe and reliable? Yeah, it seemed to be pretty safe and reliable. I've used it. I've had no crashes, failures, or anything like that. What would I give this? Well, I'd probably say it's a, probably a 9.5, a 10. I saw nothing wrong with it. If you want a lightweight version of Linux Mint, you'll probably go for this. If you want the full one, you'll go with Cinnamon. Anyway, guys, remember, please subscribe, like, talk to your friends about the channel if you like anything that you see here, including tutorials, reviews. Put your requests in the comments below. I do have that Ubuntu Mate review coming up, although I nerfed it to do this review, and I thought this was kind of important. And yeah, so if you've got any requests, feel free to put them. Again, please don't forget to